Today's video is about making pork buns. If you like dough and meat, you'll like pork buns. So, why bother with homemade pork buns when you can buy them? In the US, you're going to find frozen pork buns if you have an Asian grocery store nearby, but they're not necessarily going to be good quality. You may find a lot of bread with just a little bit of meat hiding in them, and a surprisingly long list of processed ingredients. You may also have a restaurant nearby that happens to sell pork buns, but they tend to be kind of expensive relative to the actual cost of ingredients, which is, for the most part, pork and a bit of flour, and you may find yourself feeling dissatisfied with that fact. Given your other options, making pork buns at home is definitely worth the effort. The only really hard part is trying not to eat your entire batch at once after making them, because otherwise, you can distribute them across the week as breakfast or as a snack. At the end of the day, a pork bun is pork and a bun that goes around it. If you don't have all of the many ingredients that are soon to come, then as long as you like pork and add salt, you should have a tasty pork bun in the end. For the filling, of course, you're going to need some pork belly. Other than that, we also have some ginger, sesame oil, pickled mustard, and Thai chili peppers. We also have green onion, fennel seeds, cardamom seeds, sichuan peppercorn, sliced ginger, bay leaf, cinnamon, star anise, dried orange peel, and a cardamom pod. You may also recognize some of these seasonings as being a part of 5-spice. To make the bun, you're going to need all-purpose flour, water, salt, yeast, and baking powder. First, you can add your yeast and salt to the water to dissolve both of them. After that, you can add flour and baking powder and then mix. Keep mixing, and at some point a dough will form. Once that happens, you're going to want to keep kneading until the dough becomes soft and smooth. Then, when that happens, you can cover, let the dough rest, and get to the filling. Here's a pro tip: if you're having trouble kneading to the extent that is needed to make this dough really smooth, put your bowl of dough on the ground and get on your knees to knead. It will make it easier. The pickled mustard gives you a little bit of green in your bun, as well as a pleasant sour flavor. Once you open it, give it a good rinse to wash off its original liquid, after which you start dicing it. Also remember to dice your peppers and dice any ginger you want in your filling. Once your pickled mustard, Thai chili peppers, and ginger are sliced, you can get a pan, add some oil, turn it to low heat, and throw those things in it. Your goal here will not necessarily be to cook or sear all of the things that you've just added to the pan, but you do want as much moisture as possible to leave these vegetables before you put them inside a bun. You'll know when to take it off of the heat because there will either be very little or no more steam coming off of your pan. And in the meantime, just make sure to keep stirring so that you don't burn any of this. So depending on where your pork belly is from, it may be a little bit more fatty or it may have a little bit of lean parts on it. If it has some really lean parts, as is the case for the pork used in this video, just take it off. This is for flavor reasons. We really want the fat. Definitely don't waste that meat in general though. It still tastes really good. Another possible thing that you may want to consider removing is some of the cartilage, which is also visible in the pork belly here. Once your pork belly is sufficiently prepared, you will want to add it to a pot with water, ginger slices, and green onions, and then you're going to want to bring that to a boil. When exactly it will be done depends on how thick your pork belly is, but you would like it to be a light brown all the way through. Once your pork belly is done boiling, you may want to let it cool a little bit because what you would like to do is slice it into small cubes. Now, before we get to the next step, you're going to want to take all of these spices mentioned in the ingredients list at the beginning of this video and put them into your spice locket. Some initial Googling proved that this turned out to actually be a tea infuser. Anyways, what you want to do next is put some oil in your pan, maybe turn it to medium-low, and then drop all of your freshly cubed pork belly in. Give the pork belly time to get a sear going. Once that happens, you can add your sugar and soy sauce. Now, you can add your salt and green onion. Next, add boiling water to the pan and cover the pork if possible. If your water is not boiling, other temperatures are fine. It will just take longer to heat up. Give everything a good mix, and then you will be inserting your spice locket. Make sure that it is as submerged as possible. Once the spice locket has been inserted, you can cover this pan with a lid, set the heat to low, and from here you will be waiting for all of the water to exit. Once the water is either entirely gone or almost gone, you can start straining the pork. As mentioned before, we don't want moisture in the bun filling if possible. Also, you can totally save this water, it probably tastes really good. This is the dough before resting. And this is the dough after resting. You can tell when it's ready because it will have doubled in size, and when you stick a finger in it, it should spring back a little. Once the dough reaches this stage, you can take it out, deflate it, begin cutting it up, and begin measuring it. How much each dough mass weighs depends on how big you want your pork bun to be. For the recipe that will be in the description of this video, the total weight of the dough should be around 610 grams, so each pork bun will be 61 grams for a total of 10 buns. Once your dough is measured out, you will want to start rolling into round and smooth balls. After all of this dough is balled, you will want to cover it with plastic wrap when you're not working with it to minimize moisture loss. The next step will be rolling these balls into more of a wrapper shape for your bun. Start by flouring your work surface as well as your rolling pin. Give each of these balls a bit of a flatten before actually hitting them with a rolling pin and making them into smooth discs. After that, you're actually going to want to go over the edges again. So you want the center of the wrapper to be thick because that is going to form the base of the bun, but you do want the edges to be thinner than the base because that is what you're going to use for wrapping the top of the bun. After that, you can get to putting filling in it. First, you can take your desired amount of pork and vegetables and place it in the center of one of these wrappers, after which you're sort of going to want to cup it in your hand, such that the base is more around the palm of your hand and the edges are at the top. After that, you will be taking a little bit of dough and basically folding it on itself. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around the perimeter of the pork bun. At the very end, you sort of twist the two remaining loose ends together to form that final twisted look. Once your pork bun is folded, put it on parchment paper or any other kind of steaming paper that you would like. After that, set it aside, preferably covered, whether that's inside of the steamer with a lid on or just somewhere out on your table covered in plastic wrap. Here's another close-up of how to close the pork bun. Again, put in your filling, cup it. When the edges are up at the top, start taking some dough and folding it on itself to create all of the little ripples that are around the edges of the pork bun. At the end, when twisting, you're going to be using your thumb to do that. So after your buns are folded, you will want to let them proof for 45 minutes. This is easiest if done inside of the steam tray when covered, but if you don't have space for all of your pork buns, then letting them proof covered on your table somewhere is fine. Just be very careful not to deflate them when transporting them to your steamer eventually. After the proofing is finished, you will want to steam your pork buns for 15 minutes. At the end of that 15 minutes, when you turn off the heat and stop steaming, you will actually want to leave your pork buns in the steamer for another 5 minutes with the lid slightly open. This is done to help minimize the potential of them deflating due to the sudden temperature difference. So now you have pork buns that are ready to eat. Once they're cool enough, you can eat them as is. You could either choose to freeze them if you would like to eat them later. If you choose to eat them later, all you would need to do is pop them in the microwave with a wet paper towel to heat them up. Another option, if you also want to eat them now, or even if you want to eat them later, is also putting them in a cast iron and letting the bottom crisp up if you prefer a little bit of crunch. So that's all for pork buns. The recipe is also available in the description. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you'd like more recipes like this one.